Folks, this is a major crisis unfolding. We are monitoring it closely, and I assure you, we will respond decisively and powerfully.
Washington, D.C. In his 2026 State of the Union address, President Donald Trump delivered an optimistic assessment of the nation's economy, foreign policy posture, and domestic priorities, drawing strong applause from supporters while prompting renewed scrutiny from policy analysts and fact-checkers. Economic claims meet mixed data. The president highlighted what he described as record job growth and soaring GDP, portraying the U.S. economy as entering a period of historic prosperity. Administration figures pointed to low headline unemployment and strong quarterly output as evidence of success. Independent economists, however, noted that job gains were concentrated in specific sectors, including part-time and contract work, raising questions about wage growth and long-term stability. Some analysts also cautioned that recent GDP increases were influenced by short-term fiscal measures and inventory adjustments, factors that do not always translate into sustained expansion. Top-line numbers can look strong while underlying indicators, like productivity and real wage growth, tell a more complicated story, said one labor market researcher. Foreign policy, strength and costs. On the international stage, the president emphasized tightened border enforcement and what he called historic peace agreements, arguing that U.S. global influence had been restored. While several bilateral agreements have reduced tensions in specific regions, foreign policy experts say the durability of those arrangements remains uncertain. Budget watchdog groups also pointed to rising costs associated with expanded border infrastructure and enforcement operations, as well as diplomatic trade-offs with key allies. The strategic outcomes are still unfolding, said a former State Department official. Some initiatives have produced short-term wins, but their long-term geopolitical impact is not yet clear. Healthcare and social policy promises. The address included pledges to improve healthcare affordability and expand access. Administration proposals focus on pricing reforms and market-based mechanisms intended to lower consumer costs. Healthcare policy specialists noted that many of the measures would require congressional approval and detailed regulatory changes before measurable effects could occur. Critics argue the proposals do not fully address structural drivers of high costs, such as provider pricing and insurance market concentration. A speech with lasting political impact. State of the Union addresses traditionally shape public debate for weeks, setting the policy agenda and framing political narratives. Early polling suggests the speech energized the president's base, while opposition lawmakers called for closer examination of the administration's statistics and policy feasibility. As legislative negotiations begin, the gap between rhetoric and implementation will likely determine how many of the administration's priorities move from proposal to law. Whew, that was a lot to unpack. If you found this fact check helpful, do me a huge favor. Hit that like button, and if you haven't already, subscribe for more deep dives like this. We need your support to keep bringing you the unfiltered truth. Thanks so much for watching. What other claims from the State of the Union do you want us to fact check next? Let us know. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.